Hi, my name is Melanie Chevalier. I'm the founder and CEO of Creative Culture. We are a cross-cultural consultancy. We advise international brands on how to best communicate across countries and cultures. I set up the business 13 years ago, having spent my career in transcreation prior to that. Cultures are a really big passion of mine. I've been lucky to be the daughter of an expat, and I grew up in many beautiful countries around the world, from Taiwan to Brazil, Cameroon, Spain, France, and the UK. And I very much look forward to sharing my thoughts on cultural heritage. "15 years ago or so, I experienced a Temazcal ceremony in Yucatan, Mexico, with a very good friend of mine and her relatives. Think of a fusion between a sauna and an igloo-shaped lodge. These ancient rituals happened in Mexico and parts of Latin America around 1,000 years ago already. And every ceremony is about meditation and putting humans in sync with nature effectively. It's a cleansing ritual that was used before and after battles, and they happen in very different ways. From my experience, we were going through a cleansing session calling to the gods of the four elements, so wind, earth, fire, and water. Besides testing my physical abilities to withstand the heat and the extreme conditions, it was also a unique experience into my friend's culture and rituals, and that was really powerful. It's also taught me a lot about resilience, which I've applied then further on in my personal life, but also at work. Businesses are made by and of people. So I think the focus here is really to understand how us as people feel engaged and curious and want to learn about things. For businesses with international operations, I think it's a matter of really making people want to learn and raise awareness around those cultural differences across different countries and cultures. Firstly, I think at a domestic level, there's a lot to be done about learning from the teams who come from multicultural backgrounds and what they can bring to the table and the different perspectives. There's a lot of work being done around this with diversity and inclusion at the moment, and I think that's really important. And businesses are here to bring those benefits to the fore across the board. But there's also an educational process that comes through training, insights from local experts, and also involving local stakeholders in the organization. Because at the end of the day, bringing this global perspective through a local lens comes from the local people. And it's for the local stakeholders to showcase how important it is to them and to their culture to really raise this idea of values, common values, sharing the traditions that are behind them, and put that to the fore to their teams in the organization. With a very international upbringing, traveling and living real local experiences has always been really high on my agenda, and COVID certainly hasn't changed that. However, as most people, and having lived in many countries and traveled a lot, I have had a sense of deprivation during the pandemic, of course. That being said, I think that COVID comes with an extra layer of sensitivity for everyone. And I always say it's a bit like being on a food diet, and you take out some foods from your diet and it makes you actually more grateful, and you really live those experiences in a much richer manner. So I think maybe traveling less, but in more interesting ways. To me, there are three elements here. The first one is to promote authentic cultural experiences. So really pushing people to want to come and visit the country and live things like the locals do, as opposed to pushing them to more commercially based attractions. The second one, I think, with the pandemic, businesses and governments alike has really grown a sense of purpose, and people as well in general. And I think destinations can apply this as well to their models. Going back to the Temazcal experience, for example, isn't it more exciting to go and live such an experience in Mexico rather than sip some cocktail on the beach or around a swimming pool? And then the last one, I think, and I've seen this in South Africa, and I think it's the only place I've seen this before, local tourist attractions are actually offered to passport holders, or South African passport holders, at a very discounted rate. And I think this really showcases how destinations actually enable local communities to be able to discover their own cultural heritage and benefit from it, as opposed to it being something they can't afford. Many international brands feed into the travel industry, whether directly or indirectly. FMCG brands or drinks are a really good example. They're consumed across various touch points and benefit from preferential contracts, for example, with on-trade outlets like restaurants, bars, hotels. They also advertise in airline magazines, and they often pay premium prices to be present on duty-free point of sales. So one thing they could do to impact this would be to lead by example and setting exemplary processes from the inside within their organizations to promote cultural diversity. The second thing is obviously in their contractual terms with various local outlets to set some standards and policies that promote benefiting the local communities. And then lastly, I think from a CSR strategy point of view, it's to really embed cultural diversity as a priority in their organizations and give a voice to their local markets.